There's a moment that changes a person forever. Not when strangers insult him, not when enemies attack him, but when the people he loves begin doubting him. A young man sits quietly in his room after midnight. He opens his notebook again. Another business idea. Another attempt to change his life. Another dream. Then the voices return. Be realistic. You always start things and never finish. People like us don't succeed. Stop wasting your time. And suddenly the real battle no longer becomes the outside world. It becomes surviving the psychology of the people closest to you. What makes this terrifying is that many families don't even realize they are doing it. This is where the ideas of Ibn Khaldun become deeply unsettling. Because centuries ago, he described social behavior with shocking psychological precision long before modern psychology even existed. And the deeper you study human behavior, the clearer one painful truth becomes. Sometimes people resist your growth not because they hate you, but because your transformation threatens the emotional system they built around you. This video is not about blaming families. It is about understanding the hidden psychology behind discouragement, emotional resistance, and the silent fear of change. And the frightening part? Some of the stories you're about to hear happened to world-famous people. People who changed history after surviving the people closest to them. Story 1. Thomas Edison and the teacher who called him broken. Before the world knew him as one of the greatest inventors in history, Edison was considered mentally weak as a child. One day, he came home carrying a letter from school. His mother read it silently. Then her eyes filled with emotion. She told him, "Your teacher says you are too intelligent for this school. They cannot teach you anymore." Years later, after his mother died, Edison found the original letter. It actually said, "Your son is mentally deficient and cannot continue here." That single moment reveals something profound about human psychology. Many people around you judge you based on your current form, not your future potential. Psychology calls this fixed mindset. A fixed mindset traps people inside old identities. If they saw you fail once, their brain freezes your identity there. Your growth becomes psychologically uncomfortable for them. Why? Because human beings unconsciously seek cognitive stability. The brain loves predictable patterns. When you suddenly evolve, people experience what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. The discomfort caused when reality no longer matches old beliefs. And instead of updating their beliefs, many try to pull you back into your old identity. Not always maliciously, sometimes emotionally, sometimes unconsciously, sometimes through advice. And this is exactly what Ibn Khaldun meant when he explained that people become prisoners of habit and inherited social expectations. Your family may genuinely love you while still emotionally resisting the person you are becoming. Story 2. J.K. Rowling and the Invisible Social Punishment. Before creating Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Rowling was a struggling single mother living with depression and financial hardship. But what many people don't know is that part of her pain came from subtle social discouragement. People around her often viewed writing as unrealistic, unstable, impractical. And this reveals another brutal psychological mechanism. When you chase something uncertain, people project their own fear onto you. This is called fear projection. Human beings naturally avoid uncertainty because uncertainty activates the brain's threat system. The problem? Dreams require uncertainty. Growth requires uncertainty. Transformation requires uncertainty. So, when you leave the safe social path, many people feel psychologically threatened, even if your decisions have nothing to do with them. And families especially fear social embarrassment. Deep down, many parents are not only protecting you, they are protecting the emotional image of stability. A stable son, a predictable daughter, a socially acceptable life. The moment you become unpredictable, anxiety spreads through the family system. This is studied today in family systems theory. Every family unconsciously creates emotional roles. The responsible one, the weak one, the rebel, the dependent one. And when one person changes dramatically, the system resists, because your evolution forces everyone else to emotionally adapt. That adaptation is psychologically exhausting. So resistance begins, not always through violence, sometimes through jokes, sarcasm, doubt, emotional guilt, cold silence, or the famous sentence, "We just want what's best for you." Story 3. Nikola Tesla and the Loneliness of Unusual Minds. Tesla was considered strange by many people around him. Obsessive, different, socially disconnected. His ideas sounded impossible. And this introduces one of the darkest truths in sociology. Society rewards conformity before it rewards genius. Human groups evolved around survival, and survival historically depended on sameness. The tribe survived when people behaved similarly. So psychologically, humans instinctively distrust radical difference. This is called normative social pressure, the pressure to remain socially acceptable. Which means the more unusual your thinking becomes, the more social resistance you may experience, especially from close people, because close people are emotionally invested in your identity. They subconsciously need you to remain familiar. This explains why some families become uncomfortable when one member suddenly becomes disciplined, ambitious, spiritually mature, financially independent, or psychologically strong. Your transformation silently exposes their stagnation. And this creates what psychologists call identity threat. You become a living reminder of what they abandoned in themselves. That reminder hurts, and many people would rather criticize your growth than confront their regret. Story 4. Michael Jordan and the Humiliation That Created Fire. When Jordan was cut from his high school varsity basketball team, he experienced devastating humiliation. But what made it worse was the emotional environment around failure. People often praise dreams publicly until the dream starts demanding sacrifice. Then support disappears. This is where many people break psychologically. Because humans need belonging, and rejection from loved ones activates the same neurological pain regions associated with physical pain. This is scientifically called social pain overlap theory. Your brain literally experiences emotional rejection like injury. That is why criticism from family hurts differently. A stranger's insult irritates you. A parent's disappointment haunts you. A sibling's mockery lives in your memory for years. And here is the dangerous part. Many people unconsciously sabotage themselves to preserve emotional belonging. They shrink their ambition to remain accepted. They stay small to avoid conflict. They hide their intelligence, hide their discipline, hide their dreams, because psychologically, rejection by the tribe once meant death in human evolutionary history. The fear still lives inside the nervous system today. But Jordan kept going. And eventually, the same world that underestimated him became obsessed with him, which leads to a painful reality. People often support success after it becomes undeniable, not before. Story 5. Oprah Winfrey and the Psychology of Escaping Limitation. Oprah grew up surrounded by poverty, instability, trauma, and constant emotional hardship. Yet one of the most fascinating things about her story is this. She refused to inherit psychological limitation. And this is incredibly difficult, because families do not only pass down genetics, they pass down emotional beliefs. Beliefs about money, beliefs about success, beliefs about self-worth, beliefs about what is possible. Psychologists call this intergenerational conditioning. Many people are not fighting reality. They are fighting inherited mental programming. You're not special. Don't dream too big. Stay safe. People like us don't reach those places. Over time, these beliefs become internal voices. And the tragedy? The person repeating them may genuinely love you, because fear is often inherited through care. A frightened parent creates a frightened child. An emotionally defeated person unconsciously teaches emotional surrender. This is why healing sometimes requires psychological separation. Not physical hatred, but emotional independence. The ability to hear fear without obeying it. To love people without inheriting their limitations. To respect family without sacrificing your future. Final psychological truth. Not everyone who discourages you is your enemy, and not everyone who loves you knows how to help you grow. Some people love you through fear. Some love you through control. Some love you through protection. But growth demands something terrifying, the courage to disappoint old expectations. And this is one of the hardest psychological transitions a human being can experience, because eventually, every ambitious person reaches a painful crossroads. Remain emotionally acceptable, or become fully yourself. The people who transform their lives are usually not the people with the most support. They are the people who learned how to continue despite emotional resistance. And strangely enough, many families only understand your journey after the results appear, not during the loneliness, not during the doubt, not during the rebuilding, only after the transformation becomes visible. Which means one of the most mature psychological skills in life is this: learning not to hate people for fears they never healed inside themselves. Because sometimes, the person discouraging you today is simply someone who lost the battle against fear many years ago. They don't fear her beauty. They fear the woman who can't be controlled. The moment a woman stops begging for approval, toxic people begin to panic. And what you're about to watch will expose the dark psychology behind it. Now appearing on your screen, the hidden reason toxic people fear strong women. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and watch until the end.